Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a Dio discography ranking of Dio's very own band, Dio. That's what the band's called. And there are 10 studio albums to go through. Now I know you dudes wanted a tier list for this, and I'm going to go ahead and just do a discography ranking and a tier list all at the same time. I'm going to show you the albums, and then I'll show you the tier list afterwards of where I'm placing the album. So, for those who don't know how a tier list works, basically S tier is like a perfect album, A tier is almost perfect, B tier is almost quite, not really quite a perfect album, but it's not quite almost perfect, but it's getting there. And then C tier is an average album, you know, it's pretty solid. D is just below average. F is garbage. F just means it's terrible. So, that's how tier lists work. I'm going to go ahead and say this. No album is ever going to be placed in the C tier, the D tier, or the F tier. They're all going to be S, A, and Bs. So, yeah. Alright, here we go. Very first album that I'm going to be ranking today is my least favorite Dio album, Master of the Moon from 2004. I'm sure this album has its fans out there in the world. I'm sure it does. But I'm not one of them. I don't like this album. I think it's very boring, and it's doomy, and I don't mind doomy Dio. I love doomy Dio, but when it's doomy Dio like this, where it's just kind of slow songs, they don't really go anywhere, and most of these songs are pretty long, I don't really like it. And a lot of these songs aren't memorable. I forget these songs every single time I hear them. I'm sorry, Dio, I love your band, I love your music, but this, I can't remember half the songs off here. I remember some of them, but other ones I can't even remember after I listen to the album. I'll listen to the album and be like, what did that song sound like again? I'll hear it and I'll be like, oh, that's what it sounds like. Then I'll forget it immediately after. So, this is just not a very memorable album for me. I don't really like it. I like the album cover, though, and some songs are great. I like One More for the Road. That's a good song. Shivers. The Man Who Would Be King is pretty good. I Am. I like I Am. Death by Love. In Dreams, The Prisoner of Paradise, that was a Japanese bonus track. You know, those are pretty good songs. The rest is kind of eh for me, but I don't think it's terrible by any means. It's just out of all of Dio's albums, that one's just kind of the one where it's like, I don't really like it. So that's going to be placed in B tier. Coming in at number 9, I know people love this album. I've heard a lot of people say they love this album. For me, I kind of I mean, obviously I do love it in some ways, but I just don't think the track listing quite compares to the other albums. If you rank them from this album to the next albums, the track listing on this one, it's not that great compared to the other ones. But on its own merit, yes, it's a great album. And that, of course, is Angry Machines from 1996. You know, you got Institutional Man, Don't Tell the Kids, Black, Hunter of the Heart, Stay Out of My Mind, that's a very catchy song. Big Sister, Double Monday, Golden Rules, Dying in America, This Is Your Life, and then the Japanese bonus track is God Hates Heavy Hates Heavy Metal, which was never re-released on the reissues for some reason. I don't know why that was, but it did get its own picture disc though for Record Store Day, so you can get it still. It's only like $20 too. It's really cheap. But yeah, that's Angry Machines. I think the album cover's awesome with the robots. That's cool. But the album's great. But like I said, when you stack it up with all these other albums, yeah, this thing don't compare in my opinion. You know, I like all the songs off here. My favorite one would probably be I like Don't Tell the Kids. I like that song a lot. And also Big Sister. I like those two. And for I'm not even gonna name one off Master of the Moon. I guess what's that one song? I forgot the name of the song. Very first track. I forgot what that song's called. Hold on, let me look it up. What's that first track called? One More for the Road. Yeah, I like One More for the Road. That's probably my favorite. Maybe I Am. I don't know. There's something very catchy about I Am. Alright, so that one's going to be placed in B tier. Alright, so coming to number 7, Lock Up the Wolves. I know people love Lock Up the Wolves too. I love Lock Up the Wolves. But all the albums coming up, it's all about the track listings. Because I love all the songs off here, but it's just comparing the track listings. Like, which track listing do I like more than the other ones? That's what it's about. Because these albums coming up next, I love these. I love Master of the Moon and Anger Machines, but these next albums are just on a whole other level. I love Lock Up the Wolves in these next albums we're going to be talking about. They've got Wildwood, what a great opening track. Born on the Sun, Hey Angel, you know. Between Two Hearts, Night Music, Lock Up the Wolves, Evil on Queen Street, Welcome Water, Twisted, Why Are They Watching Me, which was not included on the reissue. I don't know why they didn't include that song either. This Dio reissues got me very confused, because for Magica they included the Electra, however you want to say it, but they didn't include Annika. And that was like a Japanese bonus track. But then on Master of the Moon, they include whatever that bonus track was from Japan. I think it was called like Prisoner of Paradise. But they don't include Why Are They Watching Me on Lock Up the Wolves, and they don't include God Hates Heavy Metal on Angry Machines. So I don't know what's going on with those Dio reissues. I don't know. But yeah, I think the track listings for this is very strong. I love the other albums more than this, but I love Lock Up the Wolves. My favorite track probably being Wild One. I like Wild One a lot. I also like Evil on Queen Street, Walk on Water. I don't know, it's kind of hard to pick a favorite on these. I like Hey Angel. I love the whole album. I don't think I can pick a favorite track from that one. I just love it all. And that's going to be an A tier for me. Okay, so coming at number 6. I love this album ever since I first heard it. And this album is called Killing the Dragon from 2002. You know, you got Killing the Dragon, Along Comes a Spider, Scream. What an amazing song that is. Better in the Dark, Rock and Roll, Push, Guilty, Throw Away Children, Before the Fall, Cold Feet. I mean, just a very strong album. Dio's vocals are always amazing in these albums. I love the guitar work, the drums, the bass. Well, actually, you can't really hear the bass on some of these songs, but I love the guitars. You know, the guitars are amazing. I love the guitar work on Dio albums. And, you know, I don't know what I would pick as my favorite song. Probably, I like the title track a lot. And I also like Push. Probably either the title track or Scream. I like Scream too. It's so hard for me to pick a favorite on these. I honestly don't know. I'm just going to go with Killing the Dragon for today. It could change though. I love the track listings on these albums because I'm just a huge Dio fan. And I wish I could talk more about like the individual sounds of the album, but a lot of these carry the same sounds. Now, as we go up further in the list, you're going to see where I'm going to start talking about the sounds because it does change in some points in the Dio catalog. But for now, it's kind of staying the same. But once it starts changing, I will let you know for sure. Killing the Dragon, I don't know if I said this or not, but Killing the Dragon will be placed in A tier. Alright, so this next album, coming at number 6, Magica. I will never understand why Magica gets so much hate. I love this concept album. I just love it so much. It's so good. You know, you've got Discovering, Magica theme, Lord of the Last Day, Fever Dreams. Well, that I love that song. Turn to Stone Cherry's like the same riff, but it's slower. Feed My Head, Ariel, Chalice, As Long As Not About Love, Losing My Insanity, with that I love that song too. Otherworld, Magica, Reprise, Lord of the Last Day, Reprise. The Magica story, which is I honestly, I listened to Dio read that thing one time, like on the album, and I was just so confused on what was even happening. I honestly, he lost me there somewhere. All I remember was there's like this dude, his name was like Ariel, and he dies, and then there's this other dude and a guy named Chalice, I believe, and they gotta stop this evil threat, and then they do stop the evil threat, but of course the evil threat's gonna come back, because originally Magica was planned to be parts 2 and 3, but sadly Dio never got to make it because he passed away. But I would imagine that in the Magica story part 2, the evil force comes back. They stop the evil force. Maybe someone dies and they bring back someone else to like help like with Ariel. And then they go defeat the darkness again for the 3rd time. And then the 3rd time it's over. I would like to imagine that's how it ends, but I don't really know. But if anyone could tell me the actual Magica story, because I honestly Dio lost me in there some way. I was like trying to pay attention to it, just kind of like understand it, but my brain was I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's like a Spark Notes version of that. I don't know. Have to look into that, but yeah. And then of course you got, if you get the deluxe edition, you get Annika. Wait, was Annika actually oh. I guess Annika was included in the 2013 reissue. I had no idea about that. I just know in like the most recent reissues of Magica, they did not include Annika. They included the Electra, however you want to say it. They included that song, but they did not include Annika, which I thought was very strange. But I love Electra. That is such a good song. I wish that, well, that was actually playing for Magica 2, but it was such a good, I love that song. With that I like the really orchestral. I like orchestral metal. I think I'm finding that out about myself. I like a lot of orchestral metal, and they get like the, you know, orchestras with them. That's probably why I love S&M by Metallica so much, because you mix a Metallica in with an orchestra, it just sounds amazing. You mix Dio in with the orchestra, it sounds amazing too. Like I would have loved to have heard Dio sing Heaven and Hell with an orchestra. That would have been amazing. I would have loved that. You know, that would have been like mind-blowing to hear that. Oh, whoops, sorry. I actually moved my laptop. But yeah, I would have loved to have heard that. That would have been cool. But I'd probably say for my favorite song off Magica, if you include bonus tracks, I would pick Electra as my favorite. But if you're not including Electra, I would pick Fever Dreams or Losing My Insanity. Those are just two phenomenal songs, and I love them. So yeah, I love this concept album. I know people don't like it, they think it's too slow, but I've always loved it. I haven't always loved it, though. When I first listened to this, I thought it was alright, but I love it now. I just, it's really grown on me, and I love it very much. So, that's Magica for you. And that's going to be an A tier. Now, this next album also gets a lot of hate, which I don't understand why it does. It's Sacred Heart. I love Sacred Heart. I don't know why people don't like Sacred Heart. I get it if it's too poppy for you. I totally understand people don't like it. The Rolling Stone gave this 1 star. Okay, that... Alright. Yeah, you see why I don't listen to music critics? That's the reason right there. Sacred Heart is not a 1 star. I know that's just an opinion, but it infuriates me. But yeah, I love Sacred Heart. This is such an amazing album. You got King of Rock and Roll, Sacred Heart, love that title track. Another Lie, Rock and Roll Children, Hungry for Heaven, Like the Beat of a Heart, Just Another Day, Fallen Angels. I love Shoot Shoot. I don't care what anyone says. Hiding the Rainbow. I've heard that song a few times, but I'm not too familiar with Hiding the Rainbow. I should listen to that song more. But yeah, that was a bonus track. And yeah, Sacred Heart. I love it very much. I'd probably pick probably the title track is my favorite. I just love that. Oh no, I went to Heaven and Hell there at the end, but it's something like that. That's how I remember that song. But yeah, I love Sacred Heart. I know it might be too poppy for some, but I love the guitar work on this one. They got Vivian Campbell on this one, which is he's one of my favorite guitar players because he just shreds on those first 3 Dio albums. Like, whew, the solos, the riffs, it's just so good. I love him. And I also like keyboards. Yeah, oh yeah, that's another thing. I love keyboards on metal albums. I know some people don't like keyboards on metal albums. I love when they bring out keyboards. It's just so good, in my opinion. See, I'm a big fan of keyboards, and I'm a big fan of orchestral arrangements in metal. So, those are some facts for you. So, Sacred Heart's going to be in an A tier. Alright, so coming in number 4, Dream Evil. I love Dream Evil. I think it's better than Sacred Heart. Love the guitar work on this album too. Love the keyboards, as previously stated. Dio's vocals all throughout this is just phenomenal. And I actually like pop metal, it depends. Now, I don't know about all pop metal, but I love Dio pop metal. I know he'd probably be against that term, but I mean, it is kind of poppy in some places, but I still think it's Dio. You can still hear it's very much Dio. It's just the keyboards and everything. I can understand how people classify this as pop metal, but it's just, you know, it's very accessible. It's very, what's that word? Commercial, that's what it is. It's very commercial sounding, but it's so good. Night People, Dream Evil, that title track, Sunset Superman, All the Fools Sailed Away. I love that song. Naked in the Rain, Over Love, I Could Have Been a Dreamer, Faces in the Window, When a Woman Cries. They also got the Hide in the Rainbow song in here on the deluxe edition too. They must have loved that song. Hide in the Rainbow. That's like a bunch of Dio deluxe editions. But yeah, really, 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 really amazing album. Love this album. My favorite track would probably be right now, it's probably All the Fools Sailed Away. That's just a powerful song. I love it. So, that's Dream Evil. I wish I could say more about it, but it's more or less the same as Sacred Heart. I just think this is more, the track listing on this is, superior to Sacred Heart, basically. So I think Sacred Heart and Dream Evil have very similar sounds. But Dream Evil is going to be an S tier. Now, this next album is so underrated, but I love it ever since I first heard it, and that is Strange Highways. I always love the Dio album covers. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I love it. So on this one, I remember the first time I heard this album after listening to Lock Up the Wolves. I was like, is this the same band? Because it sounds nothing like Lock Up the Wolves. It's like a totally different band. This is Doom Metal Dio. And Doom Metal Dio is just amazing. I love Doom Metal Dio. It's just phenomenal. I love it. It's heavy. It's doomy. It's kind of grungy. No, it's not grungy like that. It's crunchy. I think it's crunchy, but yeah, it's a very heavy. It's like Dehumanizer Part 2, and it is just furious. It's like you hear the drums on this album, and they're like someone's hitting trash cans. It's just amazing. The guitar is heavy. Dio is screaming. He's shrieking. And it's just amazing. I love it, and I cannot get enough of it. It's just so good. You know, you got the opening track, Jesus, Mary, and the Holy Ghost. When I first heard that song, I was like, whoa! Because that song sounds nothing like on anything previous. Especially with, like, Dream Evil and Sacred Heart. It's like a totally different band. Then you got Firehead, Strange Highways, Hollywood Black, Caught in the Middle, Evolution, Pain, I love Pain, One Foot in the Grave, Give Her the Gun, Blood from the Stone, Here's to You, Bring Down the Rain. I mean, it don't get better than that. Well, it does, but it's kind of hard to top what I'm about to bring up next. But yeah, I love this album. My favorite track is definitely One Foot in the Grave. Easy choice right there. I love that song. It's so catchy. I love a lot of these songs because they're catchy, but this is just, for me, this is just amazing. Like I said, when I first heard this, it blew my mind. Oh, I didn't know Hollywood Black was demoed for Black Sabbath. That's pretty cool. So Strange Highways is going in S tier. That is an easy S tier decision. But of course, coming in at number 2, the debut, Holy Diver. This is how you make a debut album. I love this album. You know, when I first listened to this thing, I loved it, but I love it more now, because I'm just such a huge Dio fan. But I remember, it's just such a amazing album. You got the guitar work of Vivian Campbell. You also got Vinny Appice, my favorite drummer of all time. I love Vinny Appice. But of course, I mean, this is like the classic Dio lineup. I wish this lineup would have stayed, but at the same time, we probably wouldn't have gotten Dream Evil or Strange Highways or even Lock Up the Wolves or any of the other albums. Maybe if this album stayed together, but I like to imagine that there would have been something special, obviously, made with this lineup. But at the same time, I'm kind of happy with how it ended up. You know, I kind of wish. Obviously, I do wish that Dio and Vivian could have been friends, because they did have, like, beef for a long time, and they never made up, which is unfortunate. But, yeah, I love this lineup of the band. You also got Jimmy Bain on bass and keyboards. I love his work on this album. Like I said, I love keyboards on metal albums, which, sadly, people don't really do that much anymore. They don't put keyboards on metal albums, which I think we should bring that back totally. I'm definitely, well, someday out there, I'm going to make an album, there's going to be keyboards on it. I don't know when that's going to happen, but at some point, I am going to make an album. It's going to have all keyboards, and that's going to be amazing. Have some really bring people back to the 80s, because I want to bring back keyboards and metal, because I love keyboards and metal, and I especially love it when Black Sabbath used keyboards. That's probably why I love the Dio era so much of the band. Probably why I love the Dio era so much, and like the Seventh Star, and like you know, anything that really had keyboards. I remember one time, there's like a bootleg recording of this where Dio sings Sweet Leaf, and they've got keyboards on it, and it sounds amazing. Like, it is just, oh, it's so good. You gotta listen to that. It's great. But anyways, back to Holy Diver. I love Holy Diver. Stand Up and Shout, title track, Gypsy, Caught in the Middle, Don't Talk to Strangers, Straight Through the Heart, Invisible, Rainbow in the Dark, the very first Dio song I ever heard. That song, it was just, I loved it. Shame on the Night. I'd probably honestly pick, I love all the songs off here, but I'd probably pick Rainbow in the Dark as my favorite, just because that has like a sentimental value to me, because it was the very first Dio song I ever heard, and it really really introduced me to Ronnie James Dio, and made me aware of his music, and just made me want to like binge his entire catalog, and also Black Sabbath entirety, which actually, this is going to shock you. I didn't actually like the Dio Black Sabbath albums when I first listened to them. They've slowly they've obviously grown on me now, because I love them so much, but when I first listened to them, I didn't think they topped Dio's solo stuff or his own band. I really didn't. But of course, that was whenever I was first getting into like Black Sabbath and like the Dio band. And I listened to the Dio band first, so maybe that was why I thought that way. But I obviously don't think that now. But because I love Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules, Dehumanizer, and The Devil You Know, if you consider that a Black Sabbath album. I know some people don't, but I do. Honestly, now I see why people leave out water whenever they do videos like these, because you start talking like this a lot, your voice gets so dry. So, yeah, I see why people leave out water now. But anyways, coming in at first place, by the way, Holy Diver's Nest here. This has been my favorite Dio album ever since I first listened to it. This is the album that made Dio my favorite vocalist. Well, yeah, one of my favorite vocalists. Now he's number one, but when I first listened to this album, this is what made him one of my favorites, and it's The Last in Line. You got We Rock, The Last in Line, Breathless, I Speed at Night, One Night in the City, Evil Eyes, Mystery, Eat Your Heart Out, and Egypt the Chains Are On. It don't get better than that. It really doesn't. I love this album. The title track, you know, every single track just lines up perfectly. There's not a dull moment to be had with this album. Love it all. Got the classic Dio lineup, and this is where I think they're just like the best band ever, because it's just amazing. I love this album, you know. I can't say that. I can't stress that enough. It's just so good. I love every single track out this. I get it if you like Holy Diver more, but for me, this will always be my favorite one. Which my favorite track out this is One Night in the City, and that's always been my favorite Dio song ever since I first heard it. It's just so catchy. By the way, like I said, I always love the keyboards. That's probably why the Dio band's one of my favorite bands, is because I love the keyboards so much. But yeah, I love this album. Can't get enough of it, and I still listen to it to this day. And that's coming in S tier. So there you go. There's the tier list on screen right there. And that's the discography ranking. I love Dio, the band. I wish Ronnie James Dio was still alive today. I would have loved to have seen him in concert and met the dude, because he seems like such a genuine person and an amazing person. And, you know, sadly I'll never get to meet him, but it would have been awesome. And I would have cherished that moment for the rest of my life. And, yeah, that's the end of my Dio discography ranking. So I will be doing a Black Sabbath discography ranking once the Tony Martin reissues come out. And I will be doing a Motley Crue discography ranking after this one. And if you like the tier list approach, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. And yeah, I'll just adjust accordingly. So after this, we'll have a Motley Crue discography ranking. After that one, we'll have a Rainbow one, and then Deep Purple, and then we'll do something else. I don't know. But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff to cover on this channel, so we'll get to it. Alright, dudes, see you later. Take care, stay safe out there. If you couldn't tell, by the way, my voice is just very dry from talking, so yeah. I'm gonna cut it off before I become hoarse. Alright, dudes, see you later.